What's going on, guys? It is MitchMotoMaths here, coming at you with another dirt series of the Rate My Ride. This time we are out in Hattah, so the Hattah sort of desert sunset area, all accessible from the Outback Roadhouse, but it is a solid 5 hours and 15 minutes from Metro Melbourne, right in the northwest corner of Victoria, getting very close to the South Australia and New South Wales borders. So it is a bit of a hike for those coming from Metro Melbourne. Obviously, if you're coming from somewhere like Bendigo or even Ballarat or Shepparton to an extent, it's a little bit less of a hike, but once again it is quite a fair bit of a hike. But it is worth it if you've got a couple of weekends to squeeze some riding into, and we'll get through that. So the parking access, the best option you have for accessing most of these tracks is by parking at the Hattah Outback Roadhouse. So that is pretty much just on the main highway, and you cross the highway, and there's pretty much just all of everything you'll see is just on the other side of the road. It is a little bit hard to navigate your way around. We did it roadbook style. You can see in the footage my roadbook is. If you want to see more footage of this, there is 8 videos of it, for you to sort of have a look at and enjoy, as we did this day one of the Sunset Rally, organised by Destination Dakar Roadbook Adventures, which is Michael, who's a Dakar competitor, who's raced on the KTM bike and has a lot of stories about Toby Price and all that awesome stuff. I will put, for this one, haven't put it in any other Rate My Rides, I will put a link to his website in the description, like I did with the when I made the original videos. If you haven't checked those out, make sure to go and check those out, and also make sure to like, comment and subscribe. So that's sort of a little bit about the area that we're talking about. The parking and access is awesome. You just park at the roadhouse, camp at the roadhouse, fill up at the roadhouse, eat at the roadhouse. It's a great little spot where you just got direct access to. They're very used to travellers and things like that, being a roadhouse. It's free camping as long as you're filling up and eating at the roadhouse while you're there. So there's no issue with that and stuff like that. And they've got showers, they've got toilets and stuff like that. That's a little bit about the location, sort of the access. The difficulty level, in terms of insane hill climbs and sketchy rocks and things like that, there's not much of that. It is a lot of medium to shallow sand riding. I thought it was insanely deep, but after hearing some stories about the Fink and other places like that, I was like, oh, okay, this is like nothing. And if you're used to sand riding, you'll find this awesome, because you can just go full throttle, and pick up that pace a little bit. I took a long time to get used to it and stuff like that. But yeah, so for anyone that has no experience with sand, they will hate you for bringing them here, because it predominantly is sand, not super deep, but deep enough that anyone that doesn't have any experience riding sand is going to have a pretty bad time. I was pretty low experience with this. I still enjoyed it. I found it really difficult at the start, but part of that was the navigation aspect, and especially right early, my roadbook wasn't scrolling properly on my phone. But I managed to fix that in the second half of the day and had a much better time, because I was able to keep pace and not having to keep stopping to flick my roadbook up. You'll find that as long as you can keep your pace, you'll be happy enough to just smash through this. The one big thing to be aware of is fuel range on this. You may have to be really strategic about the routes you're taking, because the fuel range on this, even with Mind you, this is when I first had the real issues with the tank leaking. When I did, they're kind of fixed, kind of not at the moment. I'm still getting in touch with Safari, trying to get that organised, but you'll find that there are a lot of places you can't explore unless you sucker someone in to dropping off your jerry can of fuel for you to fill up with, because there is a lot of ground to be covered. It is one of those ones where if you've got a big enduro tank, you'll really enjoy the day because it's nothing too super difficult, but it's awesome rides, some awesome views. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So the difficulty level is relatively straightforward. The track style and surface, it's obviously mostly sand. There's a little bit of clay, but the predominant of the stuff that's not sand is nice dirt tracks, so it's super easy to sort of traverse and go through. The sands, other than right near the roadhouse, is pretty shallow. There's nothing super deep. If you watch the footage from the rally itself, you'll see that it's only that sort of first section where I was really having any difficulty. Like in this section here, I'm just sort of flowing through. In the sands, once a few people have gone in front of you, the sand's basically non-existent. That's sort of the level of depth it's at. There are a couple of sections where it gets sort of, I'd say halfway up to most people's shins. But there was only a few sections like that, and as long as you've got some sort of pace going through there, you'll be fine. You'll just sort of glide across the top. The options. Now this is where I was so focused on the navigating of the rally, I didn't get to see a lot of this, but considering how many instructions were on the road book, there is a lot of options. There's a lot of awesome places that I didn't get to see. I also didn't get to see anything from day 2, and Nathan was saying that there was so much more to the rally on the day 2 part. So we there's so many little options and so many little places that you can go, that this is definitely one that you could probably spend a week here and not run out of places to explore, especially with the sort of limiting factor of the size of your tanks and things like that. That's sort of it with the options. I've talked about the difficulty level, the views and scenery. This is there's some awesome views here of some lakes and some just like awesome hillsides. There is one awesome hill climb that lets you kind of see around the whole area, and it is just spectacular. You can see about 40 or 50 k's in every direction. If you stop, not every direction, in about a 190 degree sort of viewpoint, so definitely not every direction. Behind you is just trees, so it's very hard to see through there. So there's some awesome scenery, there's some awesome riding to be done here. It's definitely worth the 5.5 hour trek from Melbourne. There's not much more to say. It is, spectacular ride. But once again, just make sure you're coming for a weekend and you're not making a day trip out of it, because you will be spending 90% of your day trekking out there and back, especially if you're coming from Melbourne. I'm hoping, Michael or someone organises another rally out in this direction. I think there's a race out this direction as well. I don't know too much details about it, but a few people were talking about that when we were there. Definitely one that if you're planning any sort of trip through this area, definitely worth stopping at the roadhouse on that first night. Like if you're coming from Melbourne, on that first night, and then taking up through all of this nice tracked region, and then keep going on your way through to you're probably going through Mildura or something like that. It's definitely worth maybe not taking the entirety of a day just to get through it, but spending some maybe your trip before lunch, making sure you bypass through this area if you're on an adventure bike or something like that. Yeah, this is definitely an area worth taking the time to go and check out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.